Thank you everyone for joining, both of the panelists and all of the participants as well. And this is the Women in Legal Tech presentation here in LegalFest. Now we are all through 4 days, so it's really, really great. We are having lots of fun. Today we're gonna talk about, actually, when you have listened already to Sophie's legal tech presentation, and some presentations about women and life of women in the world of law. And this is going to be kind of the mixture of both of them. So best of both worlds, right? So we're going to talk today about all of the three presenters and how they actually met first with legal tech and how they are working with legal tech, how legal tech is being part of their life. And then we're going to kind of talk a little bit about more feminine things as well, but I'm not gonna tell any secrets. And then we're gonna talk about the masculine or feminine nature of IT technology or digitalization and what do the panelists think about that. So please welcome them, and I hope you will all have fun. Just a short notification that please note that you can always take your questions, and we're gonna try to answer them all. So Andrea, if you could please start the introductions and then the talk will start as well.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. Hi, everybody. So introductions. Well, my name is Andrea Megyeri, and I'm a Hungarian lawyer. Or am I a lawyer? First, maybe let's begin with why I studied law at all. In my family, actually, everybody is doctors, medical doctors. So there was actually no real pressure on me to become a lawyer. I was always a huge bookworm, actually, and I'm still a big bookworm. And, you know, when I was, ending high school and the topic came up about where to go to university, my parents were like, well, maybe you would like to study law because, lots of famous Hungarian writers studied law, so why not? And I was like, okay, why not? Let's go for it. So that's how I began to study law. And then, of course, I liked it, actually. The part I liked basically was criminal law, criminology itself, criminal procedural things also. So if I think about what kind of, classic lawyer type of thing I would have wanted to do, maybe I would have wanted to be a prosecutor. But after law school, Hungary was just accessing the European Union, and I got a position at the Hungarian Ministry of Justice. And that's when my journey started, actually, of working with legal texts. So I was kind of a lawyer linguist, which looking back is, kind of perfect for me because, as I said, I'm a bookworm. And we started working with all these legal texts, because all the things had to be translated to Hungarian, all the EU legislation had to be translated. So I worked with that. And from there, I went to the Hungarian Official Journal Publisher, which is a publisher, as Wolters Kluwer is. So from the the public, I changed to the private sector a bit later on and joined Wolters Kluwer 10 years ago. And I really love working for Wolters Kluwer, so that is a really good career choice for me when I changed and joined this multicultural company that I really like to work for, and how I became what I am today. So I started as somebody working and updating the legal databases on a daily basis. And I did that for a long time. And step by step, I climbed the ladder. So I'm really happy and proud today to be the editor-in-chief of the main database of the research product, which is called Jogtár, and it is pretty well known by the Hungarian lawyers, I hope. Okay, so that's a short introduction. Over to you, Orsi.
Thank you, Andy. It was really interesting to hear the path that you took where you are. I am Orsolya Görgényi, also a Hungarian lawyer. I'm a corporate M&A partner at Szecskay Thornizet Law, which is an independent Hungarian law firm with international clients. And actually, this is my first workplace. So I joined Széchenyi when I came fresh out of the university, and I never regretted this decision. You may think that spending 20 years or more in one place would be boring, but it's not, because there are so many other things that I could also do in this last 20 years. One of my best decisions was to join AIJA, which is the International Association of Young Lawyers. And I had a very long career in that. I was in charge of organizing the scientific program of this association, more than 20 seminars, 2-day seminars per year for about 4 years. I organized a congress in Budapest for more than 500 attorneys, like 10 years ago or so. And then I decided to run for the presidency of AIJA, and I became the president of this association in 2016. It only lasted for 1 year, but that was the time when I actually came into closer contact with legal tech. And I have to say that this is, in my case, it's more, I like to approach it from a broader perspective and say innovation. Because there is so much more to innovation than just legal tech, in my opinion. And how I actually bumped into this, and I became a very big fan, and I'm an enthusiast since then. We were approached as AIJA at that time by the CCBE, which is the umbrella organization of law societies and bar associations in Europe. And they wanted to make a survey of the legal profession, how we react to the new technologies, alternative service providers, and how we see that the things are changing. And actually, it was only then that I started to deal with it more seriously. Until then, I was just reading about it a bit here and there, and I was curious, but I was not really dealing with it, and I was not really considering the impacts on the profession. And I had the privilege that 2016, when the survey was out, that I could share the results of this survey at a huge, big conference in Paris, where all these bar leaders attended from all over Europe. And it was a bit scary, talking after the Minister of Justice about the results of this survey, which the young lawyers did. But I guess they got the message, So, and I am more approaching this legal tech thing from this perspective. I'm trying to raise awareness as much as I can. And since my times in AIJA were over, now I am a member of the board of the ELTA, which is the European Legal Technology Association. And of course, there you see a lot of interesting initiatives, and we are trying to raise awareness. So I think this is my past, how I ended up with legal tech. And of course, it's very interesting to see how all of this plays out in our daily life, in our life as a lawyer in a law firm. And I'm very happy to talk about that a bit later. And so, Sophie, over to you. You're muted.
Thank you. That was the handover, basically. Thank you very much. My name is Sophie Martinez, and those who have seen my talk, like Andrea as well, know already about me, but I'm a lawyer by training. Why I studied law, I have no clue. Seriously, I was in line and had to take a decision, and I thought, okay, I take this one. I then went to Berlin, and I was in the theater and the opera, and I always worked something different. So I was very much into culture and films. So I helped a lot of films happening in Austria as well. And then I went to Berlin, and I worked for Bertelsmann. It's a big company as an in-house lawyer, and did things like Pop Idol. You have that in Hungary as well, I'm sure. Then I did a business school for film and TV in Spain, and then I went to Bertelsmann in London. Also did Pop Idol in London and stuff like this, and contracts for Jamie Oliver, which I really liked. And then I went to join Barclays Bank. That's one of the biggest banks in Europe or probably worldwide. And they have an industry specialization, and the industry specialist is media. So they have a very famous team in London that does corporate finance for media companies. And I think it's always interesting, this specialization for something. This occurs in any part of your experience, probably also your careers. You know, you always have to find something that makes you special. It's a niche market in a bigger market. So then we did corporate finance for media companies. And at the end of my career in Barclays, I just left Barclays 2 months before leaving. That was exciting at my time. You're too young, probably, whoever listens to that, to remember that. But I went and I was responsible for a team in 23 countries for Barclays Corporate Banking, to make sure that we don't just do business with corporates in London or in China, but also in Africa and in France, wherever we had banks and wanted to do business. And then I went back to Vienna, and I worked for another bank, and I was never a lawyer then. I was always in business development. And then I joined a bank, and I was responsible for together with my boss, with the corporate strategy. And then I had to set up a team that was responsible for what products do we sell, how do we sell them, how much money we do with them, what is our strategic outlook on how to find a point of sales. And I think these experiences helped me a lot to build up what I've been doing now. And then because this is a woman talk, I just bring in some children as well. When I was pregnant with my first child, I wrote my business plan and everything. And when I was pregnant with my second child, and I was like this with my second child, pregnant as like 3 months before I gave birth, I found my last investor to invest into my company, and I set up my own business. And this girl is now 9 years old. And then I have an innovative office for lawyers, basically, that I do now. So I provide infrastructure for lawyers. And 5 years ago, I founded Future Law, and Future Law just deals with digitalization and law. And I think similar to what Andrea and Ursula just mentioned, is there's three columns to that. One is raising awareness. So we have big conference, big events, studies, all of that all the time. So we really try to be a focus point. The second thing that we do is advisory. So this is really about helping, and Ursula does that as well, finding the right products, finding the right strategy, either for corporates and general counsels in terms of digitalization. And I really love this job because you can really help people having a better life. Instead of just doing administrative work or filling in forms, it's great. Yeah, you can probably help them with some legal text. And I really like that. And the third thing we do is innovation. And this is about innovation management. So for example, what we do there is we run the Legal Tech Hub Vienna for the biggest law firms in Austria. So we founded that about 3 years ago. And this is really about some mindset change as well. So bringing together law firms and startups, they work together, sometimes with more or less success, I have to say, because sometimes it doesn't work out, sometimes it really works out. And we also do white papers and a bit of lobbying. So for example, what we've been achieving is that in Austria, lawyers were not allowed to use cloud solutions. And now we've been able, together with the Bar of Austria, they recognized, maybe we need to change something because our clients start using cloud products and all of that. And if you want to get into, I don't know, text analytics or anything that Andrea offers with Wolters Kluwer, we might need to have something that might need to be able to use the cloud and things like this. So we had together with the Bar to find a good solution. And now they've changed the regulations of the Bar to allow Austrian lawyers under very strict restrictions, right, to use the cloud. So I think these are the three main things that we do. And I think legal tech is exciting. And in 10 years' time, it will be all normal for all of us. But now it still isn't. So I think Ursula and Andrea, they're all pioneers in terms of what we're doing. But it's not always easy to be pioneers. Yeah. And thank you very much for having me.
All right. Thank you very much for the introductions. And now that we got a really brief introduction from all of you, we all have recognized that all of you have met with Legal Tech already. And I would like to kind of talk from now on of Legal Tech as well. And my question would be that what were your experiences? Did you experience any inequality, or like, is it like, as we know, digitalization, technology, everything is very masculine, at least in the media. Is it really like that in real life as well? So in practice, or do you think it's more neutral or feminine? So what do you think about this?
So who goes first?
Yeah, shall we
I'm sure
go
we all have the same opinion, but who goes first?
I can just share some interesting statistics with you.
Okay.
Last week, the Global Legal Tech Report came out, and this was prepared with the help of ELTA and a lot of members of ELTA and ambassadors of ELTA. And according to the findings of this, 16% of legal tech founders are women. Only 16%.
Yeah, but that's quite a lot compared to normalist startups. Are usually, I think it's only 8 to 10%.
And you know, I mean, yes, you are right, Sophie. And if we look at the figures in law in general, right? Mm-hmm. It's not much better, because it's you know, when we are talking about senior level, let's say equity level partners, it's 19%. Mm-hmm. So let's say 16% ladies. I mean, but I'm really disappointed about this, you know. So that's
yeah, we have to work on that. We have to work on that.
And another interesting piece of information from this legal tech report was that from those legal tech startups who managed to raise funds, 21% were owned by ladies, mm-hmm. and 41% those who sorry, so the ones 41% could raise funds if they were men. Mm-hmm. We don't know what's really behind this, mm-hmm. but it looks like there is a huge gender gap there, especially in this legal tech field.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah. I generally think, I think there's two things to that. Andrea, what do you want to say? But I think, because you said, have I ever incurred any inequality? No, I have not incurred any inequality. But I think women like us who sit here, they are usually strong and they know what they want and they're very pushy and they're very bossy. So I think this is very unlikely that we probably incurred it. But I think the reality is the market we work in is a very male-dominated market, and it's a structural discrimination. So it's not about being the stronger ones or cleverer. This has nothing to do about merit and performance. This is very much about culture. So in general, I just think I also have a group that's called Women in Law, and we give away, for example, awards for the law firms that promote the most women. And not just that have the most women, but that promote the most women. And we have, we give away awards for the best woman lawyer, female lawyer, and so on, right? Because I think it's really important to, first of all, raise awareness of that. And then secondly, discuss why, how can you leave out half of the people, right? Because we have 52% of all the Austrians are women, and 54% of all the graduates from law school are female. So if you only choose guys to join your partnership round, how can you have the best people? It just doesn't work out of the curve. You know what I mean? It just doesn't count up. So I think it's really about best people, and it's about putting pressure on this topic, but the structure is very male orientated. So it means always being available, never having any emotions, which is not true, because the guys, they just play around to territorial as they want. And I think these things need to change. And I think this will change if they need more good people. But my generation has not achieved anything in terms of equality in terms of this industry, I think. If you look at Ursula, you just look like this and Andrea. Yeah, no, I think we definitely failed doing that, because in the law, it says women and men are equal, and they're not. In my industry, they're not. But yeah.
No, you're right. I mean, there is another report. I think it's from 2017. McKinsey did the research on this as well, and I think their findings were that, of course, initially there are a lot of ladies, and then women start to drop out, especially at the equity partner level. And what actually was very, very not surprising, but just to see this as the result, as one of the main findings of this survey, was that although many big law firms, they have all kinds of programs for gender equality and promoting having equal, let's say, part-time jobs and flexible working schedule, and even maternity care or whatever for the child care for the children. But despite this, still a huge portion of the people think that if they actually made use of these programs, that would have a serious negative impact on their career.
It has.
Yeah, and it has. So, this is the thing that, and actually, this is not just the ladies who answered. It's almost the same percentage of men who answered the same way. So, if they made use of these flexible working schedules or especially part-time, it would have a serious negative impact on their careers. So maybe now, after or during the pandemic, and hopefully even after the pandemic, the flexible working schedules, will stick, because I think now we've seen an enormous, jump in the use of technology by lawyers in the last half year. So if we continue like that, then I think we are on a good path.
But have you guys ever yourselves experienced inequality? Because, for example, I have never. So it's so interesting. I mean, it depends on us. It depends on what we want to do as women. So the guys I work with, I always work with guys, usually IT guys all the time. And, we also have these huge conferences with a global platform organization, it's called, within Wolters Kluwer. And, you walk into a room and it's like 90% guys or 99%. But I myself have never, ever experienced like any inequality or that they wouldn't listen to me just because I'm a woman. So I don't know, it's about respect.
Yeah, but I think, I think it's always about that, it's always about, if you're strong personality, that's fine. If you fit into the culture, I think the question is, what do you want? You can either, I think there's two things to it. And I think the question is, what do you want? That we three are successful, no doubt, right? But I think the question is, do you have sort of like the aspiration that you actually want to change something in terms of structure? Because within our limitations, a lot of men are also not very successful, right? But I think the question is, if you're a company or a law firm and you want to have the best people, like Wolters Kluwer says as well, I think the question is, how can you make sure that the people who work really well get to the top and take right decisions? And I think that is the question in terms of your, and that's nothing about being family friendly or female friendly. It's really about best talent. So I think, and I'm just amazed that companies still don't have to achieve best results. And I, as a small company, for example, Andrea, cannot afford to not have best people. And I have guys and girls. You know what I mean? Because I think that you're successful yourself. I have no doubt, because you just walk into a room and everybody loves you, I'm sure. Yeah. It's a structural behavior. Yeah. Sorry, Ursula.
Yeah. So I agree with a lot what you've said. I think most top jobs require a slavish devotion to the job, and they require 100% of your time and life. So regardless if you are a man or a woman. So, but the difficulty is, again, that usually, because of this, it's less ladies who will choose a top job. And this is also true in leading positions in law. But I also, when I think about my career, I would say, no, I did not experience this, and I'm very happy. But then, when I start to think about little things, for example, and that's like a corporate culture thing. When I was the president of AIJA, I had to make some decisions, and sometimes I were, leading, sometimes I had to be strong. So very often, it happened that I think that if I had been a man, like saying the same thing or doing the same thing, nobody would have been surprised or nobody would have questioned it. But because I was a woman, you know, they were questioning it, or they found that maybe I was too straightforward, or I was too pushy, or I was, you know, too strong. Come on, I mean, if a guy had done that, nothing would have happened. And so these are little tiny things which may discourage someone, a young lawyer or future lawyer, to follow one path or another.
I agree with you. I think we are not victims or anything like this. But it's really, I think in the end, what we can see and it has nothing to do with legal tech, because, for example, we find it very, very difficult in legal tech to find enough girls and ladies, yeah, who want to join our legal tech accelerator. It's almost impossible. Yeah, we find it very difficult. We are looking out for that, and this year we'll have a special category just for girls as well, because we only have guys.
Yeah.
And I think it just reflects also the culture, but it's a general issue. So we have a lot of female founders and stuff like this in Austria, and let's be realistic, there's plenty of reasons to that. It definitely has no economic reason, because if you look at McKinsey and what Ursula said earlier is, companies with a diverse board, that also means gay guys and guys who are, you know what I mean, different people from, not just women. Yeah.
Yeah, diversity in general.
Yeah, in general, right? It means they have better performance, better results. They have
so
more.
Yeah,
and so the numbers are all here. But
I think leaders have to push diversity. I mean, you know, our CEO is a woman, like Nancy, and she makes a point of it. So she makes a point that in the executive board, like half tend to be women. Country leaders, country heads are women, and because they are the best. So not because they are women. So it's not positive discrimination, because that's something I wouldn't want, you know, just because I'm a woman. But they do get in positions, and I really remember that we have these, you know, these talent programs also, and we have these leadership programs. So when I was, you know, going up the ladder, and I quite remember it, that it was so inspiring, you know, that women leaders or just women who are like us, you know, have something to say about this. They gave these speeches, so like these testimonials, and you could listen that how she felt when Nancy called her one day and asked her to, you know, take over some kind of leading position, and she just vocalized the women point of view. So in our case, the leadership is actually paying attention to this, and getting the diversity thing really going.
We just gave an award to not Wolters Kluwer, to Western Union as the best legal tech innovators. They have a lot of projects that they have, and they automated a lot in terms of legal tech, and have management and automation tools and so on. But what they really make special, and I think that has something to do with what you can also do with women, it doesn't cost a penny. It's in your management by objective. So it's, you know, you have a plan, what you need to achieve in a year. And it says each lawyer in the general counsel must have some ideas about innovation in terms of technology. And it is within their agreement. And if they sit down with their bosses twice a year, they need to tell their bosses what great ideas they have in terms of innovation and how they can improve their legal services. And I think if you incentivize something, you could also say, if you need to attract and retain female talent or diverse talent, but we are not diverse, we are actually the majority anyway. But I think if you put it into your agreement, then you will get paid for it, you get a bonus for it, it's bonus relevant, and then you will be highly motivated to achieve this goal. And I think this is what we need doing in terms of legal tech, because I think legal tech is a bit like the women's issue, because everyone talks about it, or probably it's like teenage sex. Everyone talks about it, but it doesn't happen that much. I don't know what your experience is, Ursula or Andrea, but they all talk about, legal tech is so cool. So how many law firms really use legal tech? It should be in their agreement. Yeah,
not so many.
They do. They start doing it, but it's not where we should be. No,
they start. You have to start somewhere.
Yeah, I know. That's the same with the women.
I mean, when you said in 10 years legal tech will be the norm, I was thinking, okay, 10 years. I really hoped 10 years will get us there.
No,
but I think, oops, sorry.
No, go ahead, Andy.
Have you guys maybe noticed that there are some positions, because like, for instance, user experience. So, you know, I work in product development, and there are the IT guys, the guys who write the code, and okay, guys. But I've seen lots of women coming up in user experience, doing the inquiries and the surveys and listening to the users and the clients. And I think maybe that's a woman kind of input. Have you seen that kind of things? Positions where women are better, recognized as better?
Also, you.
I think with the user experience, I think it's a very, very important thing, because I believe that if these legal tech solutions are easy to use, you know, or they are really intuitive. I mean, how many of us are using our phones and everything is intuitive and we are all doing it? And I know one of the biggest founding of the survey, which we did with the CCB and AIJA, was that the biggest threats to the legal profession, according to young lawyers, are lawyers themselves. Not robots or not alternative service providers, but ourselves and our resistance to innovation. But this I think is not true in the sense that if it's easy to use, we will use it, you know? And there is also this researcher joke that as soon as it works, it's not AI. It's just software, right?
The magic is gone.
I think if we are and I think I see more and more solutions which are going this way, and also how easy you can use something, and how easy is the access to this tool. Because now, I mean, the vast majority is doing it on a license basis or on a usage basis, which is easy because it's easy to, you know, jump in and try something. So I think that with this user experience, it's extremely important, and I think that will be the key. That if this goes right, then we will have a much more adaptation of legal tech and simply the use. And you know, the other thing is that when what is legal tech? I mean, so often it's just business management, you know, software or solutions or tools which the use of which is, like, you know, best practice in so many other industries, but somehow lawyers have just not started using them. So it's just really automating their own processes and having processes in the first place.
That's right.
So I think this process innovation would be very, very important as well. And there, it's also, I think, maybe ladies have an eye for, you know, what can be done easier and better, and what would be the best. I mean, yeah, so let's hope that that's a good starting point where we can involve more ladies.
Yes, I agree. Absolutely.
Yes, I mean, I wouldn't see much of a difference between ladies and guys. No, I wouldn't see that, but I totally agree how important usability is, because every tool has also its personality. And if we think about, you know, our tools that we have at home, they all work and they're all brilliant and they're all nice, and then you come to work and they all look like they look horrible, and they all look like, I love Excel, right? But they all look like Excel, and they're small and ugly, and you click and you never know, and it's not intuitive, and you need the book and you read and what do I need to do? It's horrible. So I think definitely for companies like yours, like Wolters Kluwer, definitely the most important thing is it's easy to use. And I think and I know also that it has a personality. And I think what we can see in the legal tech market at the moment is there are a lot of investments coming in. Big guys like Wolters Kluwer, Thomson Reuters, all of them, they now start, the market starts to consolidate. So there's a lot of money going in, a lot of investment. I think every week there's 10 million euros going into one of a startup or something like this. Okay, that's only 50. No, that's 500 million probably a year going into legal tech now. And I think the most important thing is who will be the winner, and there will not be 10,000 systems out there in this future.
Yeah.
I mean, there will be more than just one, but in the end, because you have local, local adaptations and all of that, but there will be big players, and I think there needs to be certain standards that will come and arrive. And this is the reason why Outlook is so successful, because we all use Outlook, whether it's in Hungarian, in German, or in English, and this is why we have a common standard. But Outlook drives us all crazy. I mean, I hate my email. No, I love my emails, but I hate my emails, right? And everything's my inbox, and nobody can find anything in all of that.
Yeah, the search is not okay. Something's going on with the search.
Put in Andrea and Ursula. It takes 10 hours, until to find something. But I think this is the real challenge. But the real thing is, the reality is, it's just perfect Outlook. It's so easy to use. It's so intuitive for the basic functions. And I think for the legal text is really difficult. You need to put in a lot of money. And I think having a diverse team is always good, because it's not just about one view, it's about more views, and you will be able to attract more of the market. Because if you have developers who are female, male, rich, poor, old, young, you cover the market. And the lawyers are rich, young, old, poor, you know what I mean? They have all, probably not poor, I don't know about that, but you have all of that. So I think that is actually what you read. This is the business reason why you need diverse people. And I think maybe women are better, more intuitive, I don't know, right? But I think this is the business reason.
And Sophie, what you also said, that it is extremely important that firms are encouraging this innovative thinking, that people are also considering what could be made better, or what could be done in a more efficient way. I think this also very nicely relates to learning. I have a passion for learning, lifelong learning. I think this is just so important for us, and unless these activities are encouraged and are indeed somehow reflected in the remuneration, or count count for your billable hours, whatever, because that's still a huge part of how lawyers are getting their money. So if that's not there, it will not happen. And you need to have this innovative thinking or way of approaching things if you want to make things better. And for lawyers, the top priority is clearly that their clients are happy, that they are satisfied with the work that the lawyer is doing. So, and the clients want this. They want easier platforms to share documents. They don't want to go into their emails each time, or they don't want to, have to write a lawyer and ask, okay, where does my contract stand now? Can I have a look? Just, they want this immediately. So all of these solutions would make our lives a lot easier, and also the lives of our clients. So we have to pay attention to what clients want.
My experience is lawyers listen to two people, other lawyers and their clients, and then nobody else. So, I totally agree with you, Ursula. But I think there is pressure coming from the clients, and what we can see in Austria, and I mean, we are only Austrian players. That would be interesting what it happens in Hungary. We can see international law firms coming in now pretty bigly. So it's really, you have general property deals. They're good money for the lawyers, right? But it's not just. Oh, I just saw sorry. But we can see now Clifford Chance all of a sudden coming in and saying, "Oh, we use artificial intelligence or whatever," right? And they dump the prices through legal tech, and then all of a sudden the rest of the market says, okay, what's happening here? I'm not sure about the reality, how much legal tech is really used, but it is a good reason as well to clear the market up. And I think the big fours as well, I don't know what it's like in Hungary, but the big fours, they think in products, right? They don't think in individual advisory, and we love you, client, and we give you the best advice, and we're here for you all the time. Yes, they also do that, but the bread and butter in the pyramid is product. So they go in and have a standardized labor law analysis, right? And then they just do it. Or for a community, they do a community check, and it's 10,000 euros. They just check their checklist, right? And the lawyers hate them for that. Yes, because it's not individual. but they are in the market and they redefine the market in a new way. And I think this is where technology must and can really help to be innovative as well, because you can either keep the margin where it is, right? People pay you the same money as a lawyer, and you increase your efficiencies internally, which is a good thing, because who wants to, I don't know, print out paper, make a hole into it and put it into a file? Nobody anymore. I think people, you know, that was 50 years ago. So I'd increase the internal, or you start using new products that you can have an additional pricing on it, pricing tag on it, and your clients will love it and say, wow, this is so cool. The lock-in effect is enormous. And I think this is the challenge, because the big boys, the real big ones like Big Fours, they're getting into the markets and they put a lot of pressure also on margins. But I don't know what happens in Hungary, but it does happen in Austria more and more.
No, I mean,
nothing to do with women, obviously. Yeah.
I mean, with the ELTA and with Aisha, I mean, I see a lot of foreign lawyers as well. And it's clearly like Hungary is still very much behind of what we've seen in other countries. And of course, the language is also a big barrier. Yeah, I mean,
an issue, yeah.
if you try Google Translate English German or German English, it's wonderful, right?
Okay.
If you try Hungarian English or Hungarian German, okay, you kind of get the idea. You get the idea what that thing is about, but you're gonna miss the details for sure.
Yeah.
But so there are, I mean, let's see from a corporate M&A perspective, for example. I mean, we do a lot of due diligences. Okay, clearly there are lots of documents there, but you know, still the number of documents would not necessarily justify that we would have to use an AI tool for a legal tech tool for this. But we see more and more often. So if, let's say, I need to coordinate people, other lawyers from other countries, because I am kind of supervising a due diligence, and also have to coordinate other countries and other lawyers, then it would be an enormous help for anyone to have that, and you know, have an overview of, okay, what are the documents available, and what types of clauses are there, what language they are in, and you know, who I need to rely on and stuff like that. So, but unless you do that, and there are only very, very few Hungarian lawyers who are actually, or law firms who are doing that. So if not, then at this stage, you don't necessarily need it for that. So I think document automation is much more important, because that clearly saves a lot of time immediately. And just lawyers are also competing a lot. I mean, we see sometimes these advertisements that, okay, I you know, whole company foundation for, you know, peanuts. Okay, you can only do that if you have all these processes in place, if you automate the documents, and you just take the easiest companies to create. And if it's already a joint venture where you have to negotiate, you know, like, okay, how will we balance the corporate structure and how we run the company, you know, okay, then it's already not worth it. But so we see more and more, and also with claims and stuff like that. So there are a lot of solutions. Some law firms are having IT guys who are actually working on it and programming it, and just to make that work stream a lot more efficient. And they can get a lot of work through that, and nobody can compete with their prices, obviously, because you need to have that in place to be able to do that.
Yes, there's a huge gap there, I think. Yeah, but my majority is still, like, you know, dealing with digitalizing the process at all, like, you know, scanning the documents and not using paper anymore, or stuff like that.
Yeah.
So the basics are not there yet.
But I have to say, I think when we started FutureLaw 5 years ago, I would have given Austria 1 to 2 on digitalization in terms of in terms of the law industry, more or less. I think now we're at a 2, probably at a 3 sometimes, but it does go slowly, because
what's the scale?
Yeah, 1 to 10. Okay, 1 to 10, not 1 to 100, 1 to 10. But I do think it is. I mean, I think what it brings, because coming back to this female issue, I think what we do see though in the legal industry, probably we see it less like this in the general counsels of the big corporations.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think, for example, companies like Wolters Kluwer, they target straight away the general counsels as well. It's not always the lawyers you're targeting at because they have a lot of money as well. But we can see more mixture in terms of female, male. Usually we have a lot of female lawyers working in the councils, but they're not the bosses. They are the good ones, the bees who like to work, and they're very good workers, and everyone loves them because they do so much work, and they never ask for anything, and they just work. They're grateful for having a job because they have 3 children or 2 children at home, and they're glad they have a job. Right? Then we have in the law firms we have a lot of guys, and we have different kinds of hierarchies. So you need to, after your studies, you need to do 5 years of qualification within a law firm or a general counsel. I guess it's similar in Hungary.
Yeah, we have that.
Yeah.
For the bar exam.
Yes, for the bar exams.
Yeah,
so
we have to
5
do 3 years.
Yeah, and then we have also 50% female and 50% guys. And then all of a sudden, all the women disappear. I don't know where they get, but probably they have kids and then they can't think anymore. Do you have kids, Andrea or Ursula?
I don't think that happens.
I have a pair of twins actually, and now that you asked, I mean, going back to this thing, actually, when I decided not to run for the presidency of AIJA, because at that time I had no children yet, and I was thinking, okay, if I want to have children, then it's time to start.
You should have done it anyway.
And then I had a pair of twins, and a few years later, there was still time for me to do it. But to be honest, a guy would never think of this.
Exactly.
Right? I had so many successors afterwards who got children while they were the president, and they spent, a third of the year out of the country. I did the same thing. I could not have done it if my husband had not supported me.
But he also has twins, no?
Coincidence.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that the children thing is also one thing. I don't know how conservative Hungary is, but Austria is very patriarchal, very traditional, very conservative still, right? With a bit of color, although. But I think also all the women, we always take the children on as ours. So I'm always asked, how do you do it with 3 children at school? And we now have homeschooling and lockdown and all of that. And I'm like, how is my husband doing, right? And nobody asks him the question because the children are all mine. And I'm like, no, he has 50% of them and I have 50% of them. And I think it's also important, I think for women, it's not my responsibility, but also not to take on this responsibility. So a lot of women, if they get the question asked, they're very happy to answer the question instead of saying, oh, would you have asked a guy this question as well? I think we put ourselves sometimes into this role as well, to accepting that it's all our responsibility. And I don't think it is. And I think also for companies, it's important to acknowledge. I don't know about the next generation, but if I think about my boy, I don't think that he will not accept any responsibility for his children. And I think as companies, they will start rethinking. And what I wanted to say about the pyramid, that we all of a sudden don't have any women anymore. I think in terms of legal tech, this is also not good, because in terms of legal tech, if you don't have a lot of time because you want to work, you have your children, you have friends, you have, your old mother or whatever, all the guys have it as well. But the reality is, if you have that, you want to work efficiently. I like networking as well. And I take my time for having a panel discussion like this. But in reality, right, I want to perform. And I think if I can see legal tech and what Ursula said as well, and Andrea said about the processes, when you said, just getting paper away from paper, it's about efficiency. And if you have a full life, that's not just work, you are eager to be efficient. And I think legal tech helps people who want to be efficient. And this is why I think it's really important for law firms and general counsels to have women further up, because they want to be efficient usually. Yeah, I know the Bill of Law is great. I think it's the biggest enemy of legal tech to a certain extent. Because if you are incentivized to sit in your office and do whatever you do, and someone pays for you, no matter what you do, you incentivize not to be efficient. And I think this is a culture clash now coming. I don't know what you see also, like Andrea, but you said about processes, I think the most important things, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think clearly our clients will force us to sooner or later abandon the hourly rates. It is still very prevalent, and the vast majority is still doing it, and they are fine with it. But we see more and more areas where it's just not acceptable anymore. You just have to give a fixed quote for a certain type of work. And unless you are, really good in estimating how much that is, because sometimes clients ask for a fixed quote, even in a big deal, which is, it's always different, and you don't know how many rounds of negotiations there will be, and how many times they will, come up with a new issue, and then you have to think about everything again. Of course, you can make assumptions when you are. That's not really working. So you have to be very good in judging how much that work actually will cost to perform, also from your side as a lawyer. So I think sooner or later, if it will be necessary to. It's probably later, to be honest, because
it will not happen in our lifetime.
I still see that it's just very prevalent. So yeah.
But what I can just say in terms of, sorry, Michelle, for saying the last thing, because when I speak in front of a lot of young ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how many there are, but I just say, I think, I don't know, Andrea, whether you have children or not, but I think it's not about children, because other people have, I don't know, a horse or another hobby or something like this, right? But I think the most important thing is that you do still what you want to do. Because I think there's always reasons why you can't do things, but I think it's very sad that women go out of the industry. There's a lot of brain loss, basically, brain drain in the legal industry, because of women just think they have children and they can't have children. Working as a lawyer, which I really don't understand. I know it's hard, but it's always probably hard. And I think it's important that also women articulate and put pressure onto companies and law firms, because what happens at the moment is I think women just walk out, and what happened
and pressure on men,
but whoever defines the structure, because I think in the Nordic states what happened, it's not perfect there either, because women only work 80% when they come back after the first child, and men go back 100%. But what they did is they used women to come into the workforce at 1900 already, instead of having guys from, for example, in Austria, we have a lot of people coming from Turkey and from other countries, and I don't know what it was like in Hungary, but they came in and they were the workforce additional to the Austrian men, and women were not accepted in the workforce. And then all of a sudden in the 80s, and women came, and now women are here as well. But in the Nordics, women started joining the workforce in the 20s. And so you had already this discussion 100 years before we had it, and they had it also not just within the family, because I think in the families there's a lot of discussion about who is doing what, and who is doing paid work and who is doing unpaid work. And but what happened is it went also to the corporates. But in Austria, and I don't know in Hungary or Austria, nothing happened about corporates. They still work the same way, only guys. And I think this will hopefully change. And I think, but you need to take your voice, and you need to make your voice heard, because every company wants best people, whatever that means for this company, right? I don't know, Andrea, what it's like in Hungary.
You have to change the mindset, and you have to start at home, I guess. So I would be happy to see more men staying at home. Like, why not? And so the kids are half theirs, half the women. So why couldn't they? And you're probably right that it happened much earlier to the west from here, and we are still pretty conservative in our ways, and women think that it's their role and their duty. We have to do this, and we stop ourselves, actually. So the mindset has to change pretty much.
But I love being with my children. Without my children, I would just work and die really soon. So I think it's good to have children, because they save you.
It's absolutely good, and it's a must to have balance between, your work and your private life. So it's not just work.
All right, thank you very much for this panel discussion. It was really interesting and really encouraging, and I'm glad that all of you have had something very personal to share as well. So thank you very much. Unfortunately, our time is up, and And our attendees who want to join to another session have to soon log into the other session. So I will have to break this. But thank you for all of you three for being here. It was really, really interesting. And it was really, I hope, at least for me as a woman, it was really inspiring. So I hope for the other women as well. And for this time, I would like to give a huge thank you to all of you, because it was really a great honor for me as well, and for Artboni as well, for having all of you here. And I want to thank you, the attendees here as well. If you want to join to our another talk, then please see the link in the chat box. But if you have already registered to the next talk, then you anyway have gotten that in email. Sorry. So yeah, I want to wish you all of you a good evening, and thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very much.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks, Ursula. Thanks, Andrea. Thanks, Michelle.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Sophie. Bye.